If there's anything the subsidy argument has done to the polity as we speak, is shifting our attention away from ethnicity and religion to the big issues that matter to all Nigerians. And today, we're going to explore even further from the political end of the program. And this is Lunchtime Politics. I'm Jeffrey Uzongo. Let's get started with the headlines. Motorists stranded for days and residents endured difficulty along the Benin-Agbor highway following deplorable state of the road. Minister Dave Umahi promises reprieve as he sets to visit the area. Presidential candidates for the 2027 general election debate and disagree over subsidy removal at the Nigerian Bar Association Annual General Conference. Thanks for joining us on the program. I'm Jeffrey Uzongo. Let's get started with what has become a very disturbing scene. If you follow on social media, across all the platforms, you would have seen that the Benin-Agbor road has been in a very bad shape due to maybe construction work. But the gridlock has become quite unbearable and a nightmare for both motorists and everyone around that area. But the Minister of Works has said he's going to visit the area later today. But let's take a look at some of the things that has been playing out.
For passengers and motorists plying the Benin-Agbor road, this is certainly not the best of times. The situation along this major corridor leaves much to be desired, as the deplorable condition of the road continues to take a heavy toll on motorists and commuters. For vehicles of every size and description, navigating the stretch has become a daunting experience, akin to the proverbial camel passing through the eye of a needle. Heavy traffic has persisted for several days, with vehicles trapped in kilometers-long queues and barely making any meaningful movement. The situation has been further compounded by heavy rainfall and flooding, leaving parts of the road submerged. Some cars and heavy-duty trucks have been caught in floodwaters, while others have reportedly capsized along the route. For travelers caught in the gridlock, the ordeal is becoming unbearable. Some have reportedly run out of food and drinking water, while others have been forced to spend the night inside their vehicles. For some, abandoning their vehicles altogether and continuing their journey on motorcycles has become the only option.
It did not defense armed robber. Daily data to walk the data and no roads. We are suffering. Trailer drivers are suffering. This road has been here for many years. Many years. Up to how many years? Government will not be able to please from there to here, not up to 3 kilometers. For how many years?
We are appealing to the federal government and to David Umahi, Minister of Works, to please speedily. People are suffering here. The drivers are being stuck for some days now because of the nature of the bad road. So we are appealing to His Excellency, President of Nigeria, Ahmed Tinubu, to please answer us fast because the thing is not funny anymore.
Frustrated road users are now calling for urgent government intervention, demanding immediate repairs of the severely damaged sections and measures to ease the traffic congestion. For a road that serves as a critical link between communities and facilitates the movement of people and goods, the continuing gridlock is more than an inconvenience, it's a growing economic and humanitarian concern. Until urgent repairs are carried out and the floodwaters recede, motorists and commuters face the prospect of more delays, mounting losses, and an increasingly hazardous journey.
Well, the Minister of Works said he says he's going to stop by today because he was not around this area, but he's going to stop by. But this is what he had to say earlier.
We have about 5 locations in Ondo alone that is flooded. I've compiled it
I've made a memo to Mr. President, and so we're going to use emergency procurement to tackle those locations. But, you know, when you get to, you know, Shagamu Exchange to Peru, you know, in Ogun State, we've completed it fully, 24 kilometers. We have another 96 kilometers down to Ure. Now, this 96 kilometers, 48 has been fully completed on reinforced concrete pavement. But when I went to Ondo State, you know, to look at the coastal road, I saw terrible 24 kilometers that was not done by the previous administration. And so I have directed that be incorporated into the 96 kilometers. So that repayment has been done, and we are going to do it. But because that 24 kilometers can stay you for 2 hours.
Well, the minister, we're expecting him. I don't know whether he's there already, but earlier, if you watch social media, we're going to show you something on social media that.
If you are going to deal with issues of security
of the road, if you just take a look at this.
Hello, guys. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, depending on whenever you see this video. See, guys, we're at Agbor Road, and the road is very bad. As you can see, since 4 days, the road is bad. See our road. We are at Agbor Road now, Okpae Bridge. As you can see, this road is very bad. Guys, come see fish. This video is bad. Guys, see some money, see somebody, see all of them not there. See people money, people invest. Oh God. God, oh. See fishes. All of them not there. See fishes. People money. See, because of the bad road. Please, Governor, come to our aid.
Well, that's literally so. Motorists delayed, you know, businesses, you know, getting a big hit. So anybody who has those catfishes, they are gone. You know, there's no redemption for them. So you can imagine the losses that have been recorded. So this is why that road is particularly important. We hope that something will be done as quickly as possible. But let's move from there. Before I bring in my guest, who is a media advisor to former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, on some of the proposals we'll be looking at. Let's talk to you about what has played out at the NBA conference, where there was literal fireworks between the candidates, Omoyele Sowore, especially between Omoyele Sowore of the AAC and the vice presidential candidate of the ADC, Rotimi Amechi. Peter Obi also made a presentation at that particular event, as well as Adebayo, who is the SDP, and Donald Duke. But let's take a listen to these other ones.
If you are going to deal with issue of security, you have to do it from 2 areas. A, you need to look at the issue of poverty. Start tackling poverty and joblessness. The more you put people out of poverty, the more you reduce insecurity.
Nigeria, in contrast, constitutionally prohibits every state from establishing a police service and attempts to meet profoundly local security needs through a single national chain of command. That distinction has not served us well. It has left our policing system at odds with the practical demands of our federation. The easier political course would have been to continue the debate and leave the arrangement untouched, because critical reforms are always difficult and impose political costs.
We have a former governor of Rivers State here, Amechi, who built a rail line that went nowhere. If that rail line was working, subsidy would have been working for the people of Rivers State. Okay. I'm not attacking you, but your records are here in Rivers State.
Playing to the gallery will not make you win the election. You will not win. Now, why Sowore will not win is not you shouting. There are no more than 24,000 lawyers who are here, and there are 93 million voters. So 24,000 should vote for Sowore and see whether he will win. That's not the issue. Let's go to what he said. Who are those from Lagos? There is Lagos Abeokuta, Lagos Ibadan Railway is working or not? In my time, it was working. I don't know what's happening under Tinubu. There is Abuja Kaduna Rail working or not?
And one of the happiest person as a journalist, what I see going on right now, the reason is simple. for the very, very better part of 2025, 2026, we were encumbered with things that are not supposed to be, because I call it juvenile politics, when we're arguing about who is going to be the leader of this party, who is the chairman, who INEC recognizes. All of that is just a massive waste of our time. Now that all that is settled, we're not discussing issues. It's about performance, it's about alternative ideas, it's about what proposals we should look at. The government is doing this, the alternative is coming from the opposition. And Atiku Abubakar literally set up the first salvo, and he's been in the policy, and he's going to be there for a long time, because Nigerians are looking for a way that their lives will be better. Who do they believe is a big question. Paul Ibe is a media advisor and to an associate of former Vice President Atiku Abubakar. Mr. Paul Ibe joins us from our Abuja studios. Mr. Ibe, thank you so much for coming on the program.
Thank you for having me.
My prayer is that we will keep this energy of issue-based debates till the election. But whilst we're enjoying this, let's talk about what has happened with Alhaji Atiku Abubakar. Some of us are excited that he set off this fire, and everybody is now looking at what options are available. But the next phase is what we're talking about now. It could be beautiful on paper to have production-targeted subsidy. Sounds brilliant. Even some people don't agree with it. Some people say we should not go back to the old days because nothing is foolproof in that sense. But one of the things that is lacking in that proposal right now that should be is the arithmetic modeling of what it is and what it should look like. But let me allow you to have your first take on that proposal and what you have seen as a reaction of the All Progressives Congress led by President Bola Tinubu.
Yeah, good afternoon, and thanks for having me. First of all, let me congratulate Nigerians, especially our Muslim faithful, on the occasion of the Eid al-Mawlid. It is my prayer that by this time next year, they'll be having a much more joyous, a better Eid al-Mawlid. Yes, Atiku has presented alternative policy, alternative solution, which is what this is all about. And the reason being that what we have in the Tinubu policy, of subsidy, it's not working for the average Nigerian. I mean, make no mistake about that. The conversation so far and the feedback has clearly shown that Nigerians are desirous of an alternative. If a policy is not working, I mean, the mark of leadership is to subject it to a review. And that's what Atiku has done. And his policy is very simple. Hitherto, and first of all, we are not going back to the Egypt. When I mean back to Egypt, I'm talking about the opaque subsidy regime, that we had in the past, that had multiple, organizations in the whole, in the chain. We had the importers, we had the refineries where they were buying the fuel from, we had port operators and all of that, and the government paid the difference, of the price as subsidy. That's not where we are going to. Where we're going to, the Atiku, subsidy, plan under the, under the auspices of the Atiku Economic Recovery, program, is to ensure that the subsidy is located in the barrel. It is simple. If you're giving 100,000 barrels to, refinery A, you know where that, you know where to check, where to follow, where to track. And the whole idea is that when the subsidy in the barrel is given to the refiners, that will encourage them to produce fuel, diesel, and associated, products at very cheap, cheaper, cost. And then the petroleum leaves the country, and there'll be an independent body that will be able to evaluate based on all of the, all of the dynamics, and be able to get a price, and then it will be capped, so that those who are selling will sell within, the price, that had been, agreed upon. And so that cheap cost will be passed on to the consumers at home and, in businesses. Don't forget that we practically run a generator economy. So everything that we do, the fuel and diesel is tied to it. So the cheaper it is, which is exactly what Atiku Abubakar, has proposed, the better it will be for the economy. prices will be reduced, cost of inflation, and all of that, the cost of moving products of farmers from where they are, to the consumers, the cost, the cost of logistics and all of that. Businesses will produce at cheaper rates. Products will be cheaper. The truth of the matter is that the transport component of the goods and services that are available to us, transport alone at times is even more expensive than even the actual cost of producing that particular goods. So the whole idea is to ensure that the price, fuel is crushed. The price of, the cost of transportation and movement and all of that logistics is crushed. And that will impact, beyond the filling station, prices will be lower. And with lower prices, we will get, better, Nigerians will be better for it. Because right now, as things stand with this removal of this policy, which was not well thought through, which was just dropped, in a very cavalier manner, Nigerians are suffering. And you don't need to, all you need to do is just go, go to the streets and do a poll. And, you don't take it from me. And so we've, Atiku has invited us as Nigerians to have a conversation, around this. And not for people who have resorted to name calling. I've heard people say that over their dead body. Make no mistake about it. We don't want anybody dead. We want them to live long enough to see the benefits of the Atiku Abubakar policy plan. It will be good for Nigerians. It will be good for businesses. Overall, it will impact positively on the economy.
All right, Mr. Ebe. So I think, and I've said this over and over, we're going to keep repeating ourselves during this campaign season because you can look at the macroeconomic data and see that there's stability. We can't deny those things. And we can also see that it's not trickling down in terms of the micro. Those are two facts that are true all at the same time. Now we're looking for a bridge between a connection, that disconnect between macro and macro. So we may not be able to do aggregation bias. If we want to be factual, we know that one, there's a gain one somewhere and there is pain on the other end. That's what we are looking at. And just like you said, there's a NMPCL and SNEPCO recently, the, what was that, Southwest, Bonga Southwest Apparel, the $20 billion investment that is coming in that direction with a very, Father Christmas incentive, literally $11.50 tax incentive, will I call it discount? Now let's just call it tax incentive to just, provoke and support, incentivize the upstream sector so that we can have this investment that has been lying dormant for 20 years. People have argued about that incentive. So yes, there's an argument to that end that the upstream is getting incentive. The downstream, which is what you're talking about, demands or requires some level of incentive. The Bola Tinubu administration says, no, we can use social intervention as a cushioning effect, but don't touch this policy because it's a long-term policy. But let's talk to you about the numbers, which is what is important. 3 people are affected. Businesses, those who are stakeholders in the sector will be affected. Citizens will be affected. Government revenue will be affected. If we do 1.5 million barrels as of today, or 1.6 in terms of specific crude, not condensate, what comes to federal government may be about 700,000 barrels. And if you break that down, remove all our encumbrances of what we do cash, crude for cash, maybe about 500 or 700. Do we even have enough crude to be able to subsidize production? That's question number 1. If we're able to do the math and subsidize for production, say if this policy is reversed through production targeted subsidy, how much do you think will be the fair amount that prices can be capped on based on the discount given to the downstream people? If you get my drift, how much are we going to be buying fuel? Have we worked that math yet?
Well, it's still early days. There are things that I can't sit here and, and begin to propagate, okay? But Bismarck Rewani, a very respected economist, had anticipatorily, backed, this reform. He backed it even before the, Atiku, plan, of last week, and it was at a Nairametrics, TV, breakfast, meeting and all of that. Conversation was being had. They were having conversation amongst economists, and he did talk about, the subsidy in the barrel, okay? And he also spoke about the fact that it will actually, increase revenue. So all of these talk about we have enough we have enough crude, to do this. And the whole idea is that if we're able to get the subsidy, right, which this particular plan, we do, is going to have a very, the effect it will have, it will be very massive. It will be huge. You're talking about the bonga and all of that. Yes, we need revenue and all of that, but this is where it, it concerns the average Nigerian. It is fuel. It is fuel. And if we're able to give that benefit, to put the benefit in their pocket, okay, we will have achieved a whole lot. And the economy as it is now, beyond all of the stats and the figures being bandied all over the place, the economy is, it is prostrate. It is prostrate. It is practically dead. We don't have an economy. Okay? Because for as long as the average Nigerian is unable to have the benefit of these policies.
My apologies, Mr.
Poverty is on the increase. It's on the increase. So what are we talking about? More and more people are being sucked into the poverty trap.
Mr. Ebe, I do not intend to cut into your thoughts. Working. Yes, I do not want to cut into your thoughts, but just give us an idea, because you're one of the people that are closest to His Excellency, the former Vice President. We should have an idea. I'm buying fare 1,002 and around that figure. So if we implement this idea, say today, just hypothetically, and give this incentive, are we going to be selling? Is the model like, if the market price, the free market price is $80, are we going to be selling, when we do the evaluation of what is needed for domestic consumption, are we going to be doing a 20% discount? Like, let me give an instance. 80 is the market price. We say, okay, Dangote Refinery, Walter Smith, Aradel, take it for 60. And for this, let's find out how much it will cost us at the pump price. Is it going to be 1,000? Is it going to be 700? But I would like you to think about that question. We'll go on a break. We'll be right back. Stay with us, sir. Welcome back. We're still talking about the issue of the proposal, the salvo that came from the subsidy debate. Paulie Bay is a media advisor and a close associate of former Vice President Atiku Abubakar is our guest. Ms. Ebe, I'm sure you got my question as to how working the numbers, because the social interventions that the government has talked about, some may be effective, some may be ineffective, some may be efficient, some may be inefficient, but what is agreed is that it's inadequate. So that's why we're feeling the heat. So talk to us. Do you have any ideas on how these numbers can work, even without you speculating?
Well, what you're forcing me to do is to speculate. As you and I speak, the price of crude, it's about $90, depending on, the type of $84, between $84 and $91. So that is what it is today. We will not know what it will be by this time in 2027. So to ask me to be able to, talk, to you about what the price, per liter will be like, I don't think, it is, that's an anticipatory distance. But what is going on right now is that this particular policy is being, worked out, and, Atiku Abubakar is reviewing his policy as we speak, and very soon, all of that will be out, in the public domain for Nigerians to interrogate. That and, all the other, policies about security and, and all of that is going to be available, to the public. Okay. So just give us a little time.
Well, we'll give you a little time, but, Nigerians are eagerly waiting for some level of salvation wherever it comes from, as far as these numbers are concerned. I wasn't telling you to be anticipatory. I just wanted you to work the numbers hypothetically.
Yes, we have started this conversation.
Yes.
And we're not going to finish this, we're not going to finish this conversation today. It's an ongoing conversation, and all of those questions, will be answered. Answers will be provided to them.
Let me ask you a political question now as we begin to wind down. Do you think that this proposal by Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, who has now tweaked his initial position, has now expanded his appeal to the citizens?
Well, let me be honest with you. I don't think this was, it was a function of appeal. That's not what it is. I think Atiku Abubakar, is very concerned about the state of things, about the plight, of Nigerians. And, policies are meant to bring about, positive changes in the life of citizens and not negative. And if you're a leader, if you have put a policy in place and it is not working, you should also be honest enough to be able to accept that what you're doing, the road you're traveling, is a road to nowhere. That is why, in a car, those that, those that invented a car also had a gear for reverse, so that at some point in time you can go back. I think Atiku looked at all of the dynamics. He looked at the situation of the average Nigerian, and he's very concerned, about what this can do, even the social impact. It could, bring about, an upheaval. People are hungry, they are hungry, they are angry, and you need to do something to be able to bring about, a change. And that is exactly, what he has done. If, as a result of what he has done, it brings an appeal, that is a different thing. But like I said, it was not working from, the appeal they're talking about is like working from the answer. But that is not what it is.
All right. Yeah, because the APC and the presidency, they will always call him perennial contestant, that this is his own desperation to get into the villa at a higher office. How has he responded to that? 30 seconds.
Well, those who have been given the mandate, what have they been doing? Apart from co-opting non-partisan institutions to be standing on their mandate. I mean, why did Tinubu snatch, grab power? Was it for the purposes of impoverishing Nigerians, as you and I speak? About 25 million or thereabouts have been added to the to the poverty trap since Tinubu took over power. So that is the question you ask yourself. And if he's unable to do this, the next election will be a referendum on both the policy, the subsidy policy of Tinubu and all the other policies of his government. And only Nigerians will determine, who will be the leader. So beyond all of the hoopla, all of what they are saying, if there is a mandate for Atiku Abubakar, he will implement the policy that he has, that we are talking about.
All right, Mr. Yeah, thank you so much. Mr. Paulibe is a media advisor and a close associate of former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, who is the presidential candidate of the ADC in the 2027 presidential election. Thank you, sir, for coming through on this invitation. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
And that's it on the program. Thank you for your time and company. I'm Jeffrey Uzoma. You've been served on Lunchtime Politics. Bye-bye. And happy Eid al-Maulud for all our Muslim brothers and sisters.